morning. It's December 20th, 2016, 10:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have Killian and Ken on board, and as managers. And we'll begin with the status reports. First of all, we have consider it, and in the Divvy consider it, we have a couple of new things. We sort by newest. Brent added one here: should create first ever State Tigers DAO to establish micro DAOs as a test case to show others how it can be done. I haven't weighed in on this yet. Our first DAO that we create should be for the Archain Co-op. But we'll go into that later. And then another one about Ether Camp campers, and this goes back to collaborative learning, and I think that's going to be an important part of it. The hackathon is over. This was too little, too late, as far as I know. And the live stream selection. And he was suggesting a live stream session here, which I think is a good idea, sort of like Divvy TV. But the question is bandwidth to do that. And that's the issue there.
Okay, so I mean, this it obviously bears looking into. I mean, saving the tigers, that means probably getting, organizing nonprofit groups into a DAO.
Exactly.
Okay, well that's not bad. Not a bad idea. I mean, it's sort of like a mini test run of a Birth to the Future and Birthcoin type effort, right?
Right. It's a good case. I think if we had a proponent, somebody who was advocating part of a Save the Tigers movement that wanted to kind of shepherd this project, that would be sufficient justification for us to make it a Divvy activity.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think if you talk about it from the standpoint of Divvy strategic goals, right? Which, if we're going to award tokens, that we would need to comply with some kind of one of the Divvy strategic goals. And I mean, just thinking out loud here without actually going and looking at the goals that we've stated, which is an incomplete list, by the way. I would say that the fundamentals here are, since we are saying that we are to be a DAO of DAOs, right? In other words, the platform to create for DAOs to to create themselves, basically, and then be functional, right? I mean, those are the two things. That this makes a lot of sense. It really makes a lot of sense. You know, you pick a focus group with you know, of passionate believers, right? And you provide functionality to them. So the question here, and this is really, you know, would be the Divvy goal, strategic goal, would be to put in place the procedures and the protocols for providing that functionality.
Can you turn your camera on?
Why?
Well, it's a higher bandwidth of communication. Okay, it's more conducive to a collective intelligence.
Well then, Jim, let me ask you a question. We have people who come in all the time who don't put their cameras on, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people are very defensive. They don't want their emotions to show. They don't want to be honest, and that's okay. You know, they're not ready, and they're not emotionally developed enough. Be ready. But
I think it can be a cultural aspect. Like, I wouldn't condemn it always to the reasons that you mentioned. I think some people just culturally might be like that. You know?
So I didn't get the last part of that, Killian.
No, I think some people also turn off their camera or have their camera turned off because it's just like culturally they are more like more in, I don't know, they prefer this kind of thing. It's not necessarily dishonest or like kind of thing.
well, I mean, they're not hiding their emotions on purpose. Okay, I mean, and not to be deceitful. You know, they're being, you know, they're just feeling defensive.
Right. I mean, like, we definitely have to respect it, I think, if some people want to behave like that, right? But
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I really question the whole notion of questioning why somebody has their video turned off. I mean, the you know, the medium provides that opportunity. So, you know, Jim, I just don't even get where you're coming from.
I don't know. You know, I was asking if you would turn your camera on. If you don't want to, just say no.
Not right now. Certainly not if somebody's trying to make me do it.
Why don't you set an avatar when you log into YouTube so we can at least tell who's talking when your thing picks up the full screen?
Oh, well, I didn't know anything about that.
it's also weird. Once I set an avatar for me, but I think it somehow depends where I, like, if I join by clicking the link or if I join having already the software open. Sometimes the avatar shows up and sometimes not.
Right, you have to be logged in, I think.
So I have no idea how to set an avatar.
Log in at zoom.us and hit preferences or profile or something. But,
I see. Okay. So it's managing your account, basically.
yeah.
Okay. Good enough.
Okay. Okay. So our second report is the Archain Nerio report, and we had a great meeting yesterday with Greg regarding the co-op and community. This is the video. of that meeting. We had a meeting earlier which was not recorded. If you look at the archain.cc, we have the essentially the outchain.cc as a Divvy pilot, and this is basically taken over from the scenario.cc. And part of this is becoming a fellowship representing trusted factions of our chain community members in webs of trust, building strong, unique, pseudo-anonymous identities, employing democratic governance principles. The idea being that in order to have democracy, you have to have identity, or unique identities. And as part of the Divvy pilot, we're taking on that bring your own ID responsibility of determining strong, unique identities in webs of trust, so that we can have a democratic process. So at ourchain.c, we have here, I have the website go directly to the dynamic document. So the all the relevant links I've tried to collect here on our chain. They're certainly not available from the website, from their website. We have the bounty payoff matrix, okay, which is being created here, and we may take the outreach section of this and break it down into a separate sheet showing all the channels of outreach and activities involved in outreach separately, and hopefully link that back to this sheet somehow. There is the co-op decision-making research that I spearheaded here, and just all links here on some very good governance models for the co-ops. And there's this 4 pillars of cooperative governance model, which is a best practices document that I suggested that we adopt, and Greg is on board with it. Now, in this diagram, the success of cooperative, the teaming, democracy, strategic leadership, and accountable empowerment. And the top pillar is the member owners. Okay. Now, my contention is that in addition to the stakeholders directly in the cooperative, our chain ought to be responsible for the our coin holders and the user community. And I proposed this governance structure, basically 5 branches. There's 4 branches plus the advisory board to resolve disputes and indecisions. So we have the token holders, 1 delegate to vote for our coin, our chain users exhibiting strong unique identity. That's where the archain.cc comes in. And the co-op members themselves have joined the co-op. Node operators, people who operate, who run our chain nodes. And then the advisory jury. to resolve disputes. And then we have the best practices, which people have been updated here.
So, Jim, our coin, I mean, our chain is scenario.
No, our chain is not is completely separate from scenario. Our chain is Greg. Scenario is Door.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. But our chain is Greg's essentially his effort to build his vision, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what you're presenting here is the pivot from scenario.cc to our chain.cc, right? That reflects the changed nature of scenario, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. In the new model, the social distributed application, Greg doesn't call it scenario. He calls it SODAP. Okay, he's going to be building a competing social network app through the incubator with scenario.
So let me ask you this. I mean, did you get together with, you know, I mean, if we go back to I mean, it looks like there's 33 people involved, right?
Yeah, that can be, although I did copy people over from scenario.cc who, and I eliminated anybody I knew. It's possible there could be people here that are still in the scenario camp, but I think all of them are on our chain camp.
So, I mean, did you kind of convene a hangout with all the people involved here who previously, were working with, thought they were working with, quote, scenario and,
well, I announced it in all the appropriate Slack channels.
Uh-huh.
The last scenario CC meeting last Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
And the turnover of scenario CC to John Mathis and Jory to shepherd that if it ever has a use, because Door's not going to collaborate with any community. We already knew that.
Yeah, well, no, I'm kind of getting what I'm getting at is so I mean we the Divvy managers allocated 10,000 Divvy tokens, right, to the original scenario.cc project, right?
And that's coming up in the agenda later.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just trying to cross the T's and dot the I's here to make sure that we're following proper procedure in terms of repurposing those tokens. Because I mean, someone could make the case that they were dedicated to scenario. Yes.
Well, no. I think we didn't specify.
Well, here's my thought on the matter. Okay, my viewpoint is that the managers control the tokens, and that the benefits of the the tokens that have been spent so far should accrue in a way that is satisfactory to the Divvy managers. Okay, I mean, other than there are two sides to it. There are at least two parts. One is that we make sure that those who have earned tokens get their tokens, and two, that the benefits derived from the tasks completed and tokens awarded, that those benefits accrue to Divvy. Okay, so I think we ought to have we probably should make a motion that these tokens and the benefits that derived from the tasks completed and so forth be repurposed to our chain.
I second the motion.
I third it.
All those in favor say aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So
Aye.
okay, down in the third report here, we'll just say motion carried to
Purpose the
purpose.
scenario.cc
Token.
tokens. Yeah, bounties to our chain, and now and I mean the
Okay, so to finish this off, okay, we have the November bounties. They have 90 days in order to claim them, and then it goes back in the pot. We can contact the people, whatever, but let's. I think we want to get out of these scenario things, and the announcement, the scenario bounties channels, is that they have 90 days to claim. Period.
And anyone who has been
Anyone who has been awarded a bounty here,
mm-hmm.
okay, can claim them for up to 90 days.
And where is that now? Where is that language?
Well, it's been in our meetings for the last few weeks, as well as in the bounty channel and other channels in the scenario Slack.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I ask these questions. I mean, and I know all of this is it's sort of learning by doing, but it all relates to the task reward matrix that we're creating, and hopefully at some point automating parts that can be automated. So, and I mean
yeah, in terms of our compensation, okay, we need to flesh out a structure manually before we can automate it.
I know.
Projects of our tasks and the roles that people play, and
exactly.
And then the project time accounting is, if we use that, the payoff matrix, and then the bonuses, and then the sponsored rewards. Yeah, we were talking about last week.
Right. And I mean, this is what Jeff and I have talked about quite a bit, and this relates to the taxonomy and the identification of classes that allows you to actually come up with code that essentially replaces or provides functionality with regard to automation by class, let's say, or subclass. Yes?
Yeah.
Which this is a big job, but I mean, the proposal that Jeff and I have on the table that we need to discuss the awarding of tokens to that particular project, which is really a project to write a white paper on the automation of a task reward mechanism, right?
Yeah, we have a Divvy. There is a considerate proposal on the table for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
well, I mean, yeah. Okay.
so we have
need to address that. There's a formal proposal actually in.
You want to share the link, or is it in the considerate item?
Well, no, it's in proposals. That hang on, let me go find it. Yeah, no, it's not I mean, I don't mean to, defer attention from considerate. So if you want to continue with considerate, feel free.
Well, I mean, the proposal is there, and you're suggesting that we allocate a budget for it.
Yeah, well, let's hold on a second here. Projects.
Automating. Maybe, okay. Well, whether or not it's there, I'm sure. I think it was here.
Killian, help me out again, getting to that, where that folder is.
Which folder exactly are you looking for?
Well, with the proposals folder.
I mean, what kind of proposals folder?
Well, the ones that when you make a proposal like we did, you and I, which we're going to discuss here.
Yeah.
Where do we find it again? I know it's about a 4-step process to get there.
Sure. It's basically in the Divvy folder, and actually, did I change it? I know I wanted to change it to the main folder, but I don't know if I did it. So if you go in the Divvy folder, and then let me see, I'm going in there right now. I think then it's something like Divvy Strategic Projects.
Okay, so it's in Divvy Strategic Projects.
I think, I'm not sure, I'm looking right now.
Okay, Divvy Proposals, yeah.
No, it's in Proposal Process, not Divvy Proposals. Yeah.
Okay, Proposal Process, okay. Proposal guideline, Proposal Process.
Proposal template, and then you can click on either one of the top two.
Oh yeah, okay, so now we get to the the spreadsheet and then the Divvy proposal template current state. Let's see that. No, that's not it.
The spreadsheet
Mission
is,
template.
yeah. The green one is the spreadsheet.
Okay, that's not it. And you have to go. Yeah, we need to make this easier.
Right.
It,
Let me.
Is there any personal information in the form that we don't want to show? Why don't you show the? Why don't you share your screen, Kelly, and just show the proposal on the
Sure, I can share my screen.
on the bounty system. I don't know that we really need to see it. All we need to do is allocate a budget to it and allocate an investigation budget of 10,000 tokens.
well, you know, the thing is, yeah, I mean, I may be getting ahead of myself here in that in following the proposal protocols, let's say, in other words, using the guidelines, we need to provide that information as far as budget and goals and so forth to the managers. So I think we're a little bit ahead of ourselves here to be asking for tokens. I mean, what we want at this point. I mean, Jeff, you know, and Jeff is hard to get a hold of, but I think on this one and the one that we're going to be talking about in the agenda, you know, we just want to have a consensus that we move ahead in the process and then, you know, flesh out the goals and a starting budget for these proposals. So
what's the action item today? Are we going to?
Okay, Killian, can you where do we get the, you know, that where it shows the proposals that are in process now?
Well, you showed us the spreadsheet, but can you show us the format? You know, the form of it.
The what are the form? How to get to the form? You said.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Killian, I mean, we've looked at there's that it's form. It's in the form.
This one.
Uh-huh.
So it's
No,
So you look at responses.
no, this is the blank form. The one that actually shows the proposal.
You want to look at individual. Look
like
at
here.
look
Here
at
you
individual responses. Okay, and is this the one we want to look at? No. Where's the project name? This is nothing. Look at the next one. Hit next. Okay, is this
be the third? Or like this is the marketplace?
Yeah, this is the one that, Jesus. And where did this come from?
What do you mean? How did we
Well,
get?
where do you find this?
So let me. I cannot.
I think we got to get all this stuff under Divvy and you know, put it in the first stage, not 5 or 6 clicks down.
Yeah, it's basically. Let me. Maybe.
just hit your folder? It's right there, your folder.
Yeah, the thing is, I cannot click on it because there's the stop share.
Oh, just move it. You can just move it.
Yeah, but I cannot. When I hover about it, it doesn't let me. But basically, you mean in the Divvy folder to move it? Yeah. So basically, here strategic project, then proposal process, proposal template. But we can, like here, this one is, but we can, I guess, we can just, first of all, proposal process we can put into Divvy proposals.
Okay, here we are.
And now this, I think we can just go to Divvy. So now if you're in the Divvy folder, we can rename this and just name it, yeah, or leave it like this, or just name it proposals. So
Yeah.
right now from the Divvy, I would, you know, you can click on it.
Okay. All right, that's good. Let's see. Okay, so Divvy proposals, yes? Let's see.
Right.
Proposal. Well, no. Oh, dear. Huh. No. Well, look, let's, Jim, you know what, let's finish up with the considerate stuff, okay? And then we can move on in the agenda items to, you know, to finish this up.
Yeah. Now I'm totally lost as to where that was. I got it before.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we have so when, you know, so our next step is, you know, is if we want to allocate Divvy for one of these proposals, someone needs to make a motion to that effect.
Say that again, Jim. Sorry.
If we want to allocate Divvy for one of these proposals, somebody has to make a motion to do that.
Well, let's review the proposals first, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm getting at. In other words, if...
Yeah, we just did. There was two of them. One was on the marketplace, and the other one was on the bounty system. And the simple question is, do we want to allocate Divvy for that or not? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I make a motion that the managers agree that both of these proposals have enough merit to warrant the awarding of Divvy tokens for bounties. The amount to be decided at a future meeting.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so all those, do we have a second?
Yes, I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Yeah, we all agree.
Aye. Okay. Okay, good. So, I mean, we'll develop these further according to the proposal guidelines, and you know, we'll bring them back.
Okay. You know, this first item here on the Divvy on the considerate, we probably want to review any proposal submissions as well at that time, whatever. I don't know. That's just a thought. Okay, so we're back to bounty awards. Where were we? Oh, okay. We have marketplaces one here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one issue on the November bounty sheet, and that was that Irving did a great deal of work on Bring Your Own Identity, and he was not credited for it in the matrix.
And this is, Irving is the Slovenian fellow?
Somewhere.
Yeah. And he came in as a guest one time, right? Right
Yeah.
after he solved the the credentials issue.
He solved a dependency loop in OpenID.
Okay.
And he documented it well. And for somehow I forgot who did it. He was finishing up his exams or something and wasn't participating for a couple of weeks, and I forgot who fixed the problem. And he reported in the project log. But in any case,
okay, so what are you proposing for a bonus for him?
I'm proposing a bonus of I didn't do it specifically here. But I guess I'm proposing, I guess,
I mean, what are you're showing us amps that he's already earned?
these are amps that he earned, but was not given credit for any work on bring your own ID, trustee ID. Okay, so basically, he did good work, and he was busy. And he put time in it. He documented it well. It's work we want to definitely encourage. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to understand what we're looking at here, though.
I'm just looking at what he already is entitled to. I would suggest that that we give him an additional 100 amps, 100 Divvy, and an additional 500 amps.
Well, okay, wait a minute. We don't does Divvy have amps in a wallet that it can distribute amps from?
Well, this is actually a topic for the meeting this afternoon at ourchain.pc. But because Divvy Scenario Fan awarded amps to Divvy, and because Divvy tokens are involved, it has to be okay here before it can be presented there.
Well, okay. So wait a minute. You're saying that Scenario Fan has actually transferred amps to Divvy at this point?
No, he hasn't actually transferred them yet. Right now, any amps we distribute now will come out of my wallet. Okay, HJ was going to set up a wallet.
Okay.
Yes, was setting up a wallet for Divvy.
Right.
And
so, I mean, my point here is we can, until the amps are actually in a Divvy wallet that Divvy controls and that the managers control, then there's nothing really to discuss other than to say, well, if we get these amps in the Divvy wallet, then this is how they should be.
You don't have to worry about that. The bounty wallets are paid directly by the benefactors in most cases. The only issue here is issuing the 100 Divvy that has to be approved at this time. I will award the amps hopefully today that anybody's claimed, so that they get them before Christmas.
So
the Divvy tokens were behind in our accounting, and we don't have keys to the.
Well, I mean, and I guess that's kind of my point. You know, I mean, I think that you know, here let me try to draw a parallel. Okay, in my contracts with owners, you know, like if I'm building a house for an owner, all right, I have certain rules. Okay, and one of the rules, and it's actually in the agreement, and that is that the owner does not independently compensate anyone for work done. Okay, now there's a very, very, very good reason for that. Okay, because what happens when the owner compensates someone outside of whatever the you know, call it the contractual agreements are, is that it tends to split authority. Okay, the person
the authority in this case lies 100% with the person who owns the wallet that the bounty is coming from, and we are not ready. I mean, you know, we don't have any, so we don't have to worry about that now. The amps get distributed member to member. Okay, the Divvy, on the other hand, we are responsible for, and we do own the wallet, and we have the spreadsheet, and we have to we need to agree that we give Irving 100 Divvy. That's all we need to do today.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. Again, I'm trying to understand. I mean, you're saying that essentially you're bankrolling this whole thing as far as amps are concerned. Is that right?
Right. I put it. You know, I put up some of my own amps and some of Scenario Fans amps for the bounty.
But you don't in fact have any Scenario Fan amps in hand at this point.
No, I don't, and I'm delaying that, and maybe I shouldn't. But I figured we should have a wallet set up by HJ or delegated some other way that belongs to Divvy before I do that.
Okay, so, but as far as...
I haven't spent the amount that I put up yet, so I don't need his yet.
Okay, so really, I mean, the responsibility and the liability as far as Divvy is concerned is purely for the Divvy tokens that we have allocated for this project.
Right.
As a partner in the project, not as the prime, the prime organization in this project.
Right. It's part of our pilot.
And okay.
We support that community. They're not part of us.
We made the decision to support Scenario, but it's no longer Scenario. It's now our chain.
Right.
Okay. And how many? I mean, it was 10,000 Divvy tokens, right?
What is it? No, it was 1,000.
Oh, okay, 1,000.
Okay, and the 100 can come out of that same 1,000, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would certainly be in favor of a bonus to Irvin. I mean, I think, you know, if you're more than happy with his performance.
Yeah, awesome, absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, the thing is, he left such a, you know, he documented it so well. Okay, if, you know, if somebody else had done it, okay, we wouldn't really have the providence of doing it ourselves again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so you want to make a motion and?
Yeah.
Second.
Well, what's the motion for, Jim?
100 Divvy.
Okay. So Killian seconds.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It passes. So you want to put in the action item?
I hope I can get to it today. And then we have the question of we got a Divvy amp wallet, HJ.
Okay.
And the Divvy token keys.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, there's also, I mean, the Ethereum test wallet balloons are killing me. I haven't, you know, someday I'll get that back up again working, but right now I can't get into testnet.
So that means we can't move Divvy tokens around?
We can't move them around. Not really. I mean, there's only a couple of transactions that were done. Everything's on spreadsheet, and it can stay that way for now. But the spreadsheet needs to be updated.
Okay. We also need to. I mean, my understanding is that there are 3 signers on the wallet, right? Yourself, Jeff, and Brent. Correct?
I don't know.
All right.
I think it was a 2 out of 3. So Brett and I should be able to sign it, but we don't have any keys. We don't even have our own keys. Well, how does that work? Oh, we get an account, so we should be able to sign it. I don't know. I don't know how to do it right now.
And what is it going to take to resolve this issue?
Well, hopefully we'll be able to talk to Jeff too soon and determine exactly what to do. I have to make time to try to get my Ethereum wallet and that's back up to date. That's, you know.
I mean, the bottom line here is we need Jeff's participation, correct?
Yeah, unless if we don't
here's what I would suggest.
Find the documentation that we need to do it and are able to get our wallets working, we will need Jeff. Right.
Well, here's what I would suggest, and that is that we convene a special meeting to resolve this issue. Does that make sense? I mean, we're not going to resolve it here.
Right.
And Jeff, I think that this is really it's about those who are currently signers in the multi-sig wallet, correct?
Right. And, Jeff has put some stuff in our GitHub. I don't know. I haven't reviewed it carefully in terms of what it is, and I don't know. We don't have the details of what he did, so we need them. Yeah. I mean.
Okay. All right. So that we need to add on there, meeting to resolve, comma, Jeff needs to be part of this. Contact Jeff. Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Okay, that's some of the immediate issues on the bounties. We have agenda item number 1, launch a Divvy marketplace. Kendall, did you want to?
Yeah, sure.
So this link is in here right now for the.
Yeah.
It's not. The thing didn't work for me.
Because we switched the folder, I can update it.
Huh, it opened for me. That's interesting. Oh, you mean you didn't give Jim permission?
No, he has automatically permission, but I think the error has.
There it is.
Because
yeah, okay. Here it is.
It was just a thing here. Okay, so you understand this, Kendall. If you hit individual here, and we go to number 3.
Okay.
Then we'll see the.
See ours. All right.
Number 2 is the marketplace. Oh, this is the marketplace 3.
Well, actually, it is 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here, I'll let me share. Okay. So what this is Kelly and I got together, and this I believe came out of a suggestion by Brent at the in the general meeting last week, and so the idea here, which, well, let's just read through it. I mean, we say if we look at goal, the goal is to develop the Divvy marketplace as a revenue-generating enterprise component. Okay, now that is a kind of a large, spreads a wide net. That idea, revenue-generating enterprise component. Well, that can mean a lot of different things. Revenue generating for who? Certainly the users, both those who have Divvy tokens and those who want to and want to spend them, and those who are willing to accept Divvy tokens in payment for whatever it is that they're offering. And I think, so if we go on, create an exchange mechanism on the Divvy website where token holders can exchange Divvy tokens for goods and services. Merchant Divvy wallet creation, assistance, and transaction facilitation. So what we're talking about here is identifying a certain type of merchant at this point, and we're using the term merchant not like they, sort of like not necessarily like a retail merchant, but it could be, but someone who has a natural, by the very nature of whatever their business is, they are a natural fit for Divvy tokens at this current stage. And, we haven't made a lot of progress in that direction at this point. But I think what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking through all of the networks that, are affiliated with Divvy. And we're going, and Killian, you tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think we're going to be reaching out to, after an analysis of the community and the network, and reaching out to potential merchants who where our those doing tasks who have tokens can go and exchange them for whatever these merchants are offering. Okay, and this will in effect jumpstart the marketplace. Go ahead, Killian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have to see how do we go about, do we go widespread in all industries kind of, or do we focus upon a certain industry or community, as you said, basically? And yeah, I guess the most natural thing would be to, as you said, basically ask around within the Divvy community for people that maybe know people that own a business or so and might be willing to accept Divvy tokens as kind of a medium of exchange. But I think the problem therein is that it becomes not focused on on one industry, that we don't achieve a certain density. But I mean, that might be a good thing as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is, I mean, it's kind of like, early adopters in the development community. A lot of these technologies were originally developed amongst, this core group of highly technical people. Okay, now I don't know whether. I mean, I think that yes, there are services that can be exchanged for Divvy tokens because there's some kind of clear interoperability between the the aspirations of Divvy as represented by the tokens and a desire of that merchant to encourage the community, basically, right?
Yeah, and the merchant basically, we have to convince the merchant that basically these tokens, first of all, have some sort of value, which we even say right now our tokens don't have, but we kind of have to educate the merchant, and in the end the merchant, I guess, will only cooperate if he either supports our idea in general and is just falls in love with the vision behind Divvy as well, or if he maybe sees the value of being able to exchange this token. I mean, in the end, now as I think of it, like all we need is basically two merchants that would like to trade goods like among each other. Like let's say merchant 1 accepts Divvy tokens. Now this merchant 1 can use the Divvy tokens at the merchant 2 for trading into something else, and vice versa. So in the end, we only have to find, I guess, two merchants in the beginning that complement themselves.
Well, yeah, and I mean, think in terms of like a web developer, for instance, a website developer. Yes, I mean that might be a really good fit in that if a website developer was willing to take Divvy tokens to, put up a website for somebody who has Divvy tokens, they could also take those tokens and hire some expertise on the side, in actually putting up that particular website, for instance. Does that make sense? I mean, that would be a three-way exchange. You've got A, who has Divvy tokens. You have B, who is a web developer willing to take Divvy tokens from A to put up A's website, and you've also got C, who is someone who can do coding that could take Divvy tokens from B in payment, right?
Yeah, I have four things listed in the agenda here that I put in there. Hosting providers, users accepting Divvy, storage backup, sharing.
What does that mean exactly, storage backup sharing?
I have a terabyte of space on my disk, which I'm going to make available to someone else for.
Okay.
I think it can also be very like things that are very disconnected from the whole crypto space. Let's say you find a bakery that kind of is like represents like a local kind of production, more like the whole decentralized kind of thing, and then you find
Yeah, that's what I sort of have under as four pull users to list services.
Yeah.
What services are out there and get them listed in the marketplace.
Right.
The other thing here that I listed, which I think is very relevant, is the issue of parallel development with the Rcoin marketplace. Okay, chances are we will be receiving support for the Rcoin, developing the Rcoin marketplace. And the same exact structure can be used for Divvy. Okay, this is a project under ourchain.cc to develop a marketplace of Rcoin.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, what you're saying is Rcoin is the interactive cryptocurrency for the Rchain, and they can be awarded in the same way that Divvy tokens are awarded for tasks completed.
Right, both are Ethereum compatible tokens, standard tokens.
Okay, so I mean now I mean, and this is a little aside, but this is a wonderful opportunity to create the interoperability that Jeff talks about between two Ethereum-based cryptocurrencies,
Right.
and so we ought to. I mean, I guess the question is. Our chain, our coin, it sounds like a parallel effort.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly the same. I mean, we're
So
putting the same kinds of things in the marketplace, in the same structure,
so
same processes.
okay. So here's a question. Would it not then? I mean, both Divvy and our chain are aspiring to be DAOs, correct?
Absolutely. And we're building the DAO for our chain, which will be a Divvy DAO.
Okay, that's my point. In other words, is our chain being built, quote, on the Divvy platform as its own DAO?
That's the current agenda, as to some extent, it's not terribly official in that it's using the Divvy process, and it has the overlap. I mean, the same people: Patrick, Plant Eater, myself.
Okay, so
etc.
here's my point. We claim Divvy is a DAO of DAOs, right? Here's an opportunity for a DAO creating itself using the Divvy platform. Okay, the question is our chain using the Divvy platform, or a platform that looks like Divvy, was inspired by Divvy?
Well, Divvy doesn't have a platform yet. The platform we build for our chain will be the Divvy platform. Okay, it's just that we're getting sort of sponsored by our chain to build it.
I see. So for a lot of people, it doesn't really matter who does it.
Right. It's autonomous. It's it's being self-defined. Of course, I'm the one who's 99.9% defining it.
Well, yeah. So I mean, if it's Divvy inspired,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I consider it to be a Divvy pilot, and we're developing Divvy at the same time cooperatively with our chain.
But when you okay, again, semantics. All right, words matter. You use the term a Divvy pilot. Okay, distinguish that from the Divvy pilot, which is what I consider everything that we're doing now as Divvy Alpha Pilot. Okay, where is our chain and our coin marketplace and so forth with regard to the Divvy pilot?
Okay, the Divvy pilot has participants. Okay, a pilot is when you're applying something to a user community. That's a pilot. Okay, you may want to look it up. A pilot project is where you're field testing and the process in this case.
Okay.
And so that we can say that the R chain pilot, or so, is part of the Divvy pilot, and that we are field testing the Divvy process with the rchain.cc community. Okay, and we're making it self-determined, autonomous, okay, but applying the basic Divvy structure and principles and cooperating on tools that everybody can use. Not just Divvy, not just our chain, but even Scenario if they wanted to. And hopefully we'll get other active members in the pilot, and we'll have cooperation, and that will enable us to develop the Divvy DAO of DAOs. And there's really no top. It's not like Divvy is the top DAO. It's really a flat structure where, from anybody's point of view, they're at the top. The Divvy is a member.
Yeah, I think it's great to have the R chain as a pilot for the Divvy DAO. It's really good opportunity.
Yeah, well, I don't know how it'll work out. It depends on the personalities and what happens. Patrick can be a little bit hard to work with. He doesn't like to hang out much in Zoom anyway. He's very busy, very what do you call it? He does initiatives. He doesn't know how to delegate, really. He's complaining about people giving him more work to do, and he's exhausted and working like a banshee, but he's not delegating.
Right.
And that's creating some tension. In fact, Brent quit our chain because he just couldn't take it.
Right. But how big is the core team right now building kind of around this?
Yeah. Well, the activity has not been a lot, and I don't know that we'll get a lot of people at the meeting this afternoon. Mm-hmm. I'm banking that because we have strong support from people like HJ and Otto Plano and Plant Eater, and did I say Greg? I think it's very promising. But like its personalities and what happens here. Ian is not good at delegating either. It's hard to get people in the Divvy spirit who can't delegate. Can't let other people do their. Can't give other people autonomy. They have to do everything themselves.
I think it takes a little bit to grasp the concept, because I remember when I started getting involved with Divvy, I also felt like, oh yeah, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. But in the end, there's so many things, and you realize, okay, it doesn't.
The point of Divvy is that you can delegate everything. You don't have to do anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, and this gets you back to the basic, the crux of the matter. And that is that in early stages, there are those who take responsibility for achieving results, and there are those who don't. And I guess the ultimate question is it goes to the team leader. The team leader has to have a full understanding of what goals are trying to be attained, and what the milestones and tasks ultimately that have to be accomplished in order to achieve those goals. And so here we're talking about delegating, and I'm assuming, Jim, that what you mean by delegating is delegating tasks, correct?
Not assigning people work. Okay, I'm not talking about a centralized leadership model. I'm talking about distributed leadership by giving people responsibilities. It's sort of like what happens in a corporation when you have a COO, a CTO, a CFO. Okay, you have a leadership team, and they distribute responsibility, which Dor is unwilling to do, and Patrick is unwilling to do, sort of. It isn't happening yet, and I'm hoping it's happening. We created a DevOps channel this morning for our chain. I think Patrick's starting to see the wisdom of trying to delegate more.
Well, no, but I mean, again, you're saying delegate responsibility, right? Is that the term you used?
Right.
Delegate responsibility. Okay. Responsibility for what?
Well, you can't manage all, Killian can't manage all the channels here. He's got to have help. Okay, maybe you can manage YouTube, maybe you can't. We share that responsibility. I guess.
Okay, so but my point is this gets back to tasks. Okay, and what I'm driving at here is that it's the team leader's responsibility to make sure that the response, if you're delegating responsibility, the responsibilities have to be clearly defined. And if you're trying to achieve a goal, there are certain things that have to get done. Okay, and this is really the most essential element of a task reward matrix. Okay, this is what I'm proposing, and so this comes down to essentially, okay, here's a task. Who's responsible for that task? Okay, now you have delegated authority, and in Divvy, what we're saying is that each task, in other words, each delegated responsibility has a bounty that goes along with it, so that there's a motivation. Okay, the whole point here is that in the human experience, most people will only for a short time devote themselves to something based on some higher principle or idea. Okay, so what it means is that very quickly people say, well, what's in it for me? And what we're saying in Divvy is, well, the tokens are in it for you. So you do this, you take responsibility for this, you do this task, and you get rewarded. Okay, that's the fundamental basis. And so it is so important to get that whole system demonstrating that it actually works. Okay? Now, getting back to, you're saying there are some people who find it very, very difficult to delegate. And so my point here is, if that individual is in a team leader role, then they're probably in the wrong role.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, if we look at the community, the 9 community projects here. Okay, we have one guy, Patrick, who's trying to do the whole thing. Okay, and he created a very nice Trello board here to keep track of tasks and put in tasks, and then people can come in here and they can join tasks. This is pretty successful in it's working. Okay, but the thing is that you can't, on one Trello board, handle the activities in all these projects, and no one person can handle all these projects. You have to have some kind of structure where there's different, where people are, where teams are built for the individual projects, and of course there is overlap, but we've been in a constant situation and scenario, and now in our chain, where people are willing to do stuff, but the managers simply can't get it together to list the tasks that need to be done.
Okay, that is the job of the team leader, correct?
We can all sit back and do nothing while Patrick does that.
Who's the team leader in our chain.cc?
Well, by default, it's Patrick.
But okay, but there was never a team leader defined. Is that correct?
Right.
Well, there you go. I think that's what you need to do. Is
in the meeting, he took a leadership role. I acknowledged the leadership role that he took. Nobody else came to the plate. We do have some leaders mentioned here. I have a feeling Patrick will not show up at the meeting today, so we have the opportunity to come up with a leadership structure independent of him.
Right. Okay. And again, I mean, in our chain, we've got Divvy has so far committed 1,000 Divvy tokens.
Well, actually, yeah. I guess actually it's more than that now, because I didn't subtract the ones claimed or anything yet from the 1,000 that are in there. But
no, but I'm looking at the spreadsheet, and it says under Divvy 1,000.
You're looking at scenario or our chain?
I'm our chain.
Our chain, yeah. Right. I carried over the 1,000 from November, although a few hundred of those are going to be claimed.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that the top line here is 5,000 amps, 1,000 Divvy, crypto index 10,000. So I'm not sure exactly what all, crypto index, what is that?
That's a coin that Javi donated.
Okay. To this project. Okay. Total points. What does that represent?
Let me just go to the sheet here. Total. Okay. Each person gets points based on the rating, which is 1 to 10 for their level of effort, times the weight in row 3.
Times the weight in row 3. You mean row 3? Okay, the weights. Yeah, I see. Okay. How are those weights determined?
They're determined by the managers in the meeting adjusting so that the total weight for each activity reflects the importance and effort that activity brings to the project.
Okay, so in other words, I mean, these numbers, like this is 0 through 10, correct? This is the weighting is a 0 through 10 rating, correct?
Yeah, loosely. I mean, it's not. It can be anything. It's just an integer.
But
I've been rating it, 9 high, 1 low.
Okay, all right. Well, seems like that ought to be spelled out, because otherwise, if it's totally arbitrary, then a rating has no value, really.
Well,
it has.
Let's say one guy worked on Consider It, and let's say he worked 9,900 hours, and we get a weighting here of only 28 for that activity. Then we're going to jack this up until it's reasonable. We don't want to limit.
But the weight is a 4.
Right. Well, if this was an important activity, I might make it a.
Yeah, I know. But okay, so how do you take a 4 rating and apply it to work that somebody does?
Okay, so now I changed it to 444. Okay, and now we're giving the lion's share of our bounty to this project, even though, because that represents the most work and the most benefit, the most need to the project.
Well, again, I mean, I'm trying to see what the correlation is between weighting and actual, Divvy or AMPS or crypto index awarded.
Okay, so let me put this back to a 4 for now. Is that a 4? Okay, so the person gets a total points here. Okay, and then we have a total bounty here, 5,000. So
Of AMPS.
Of AMPS.
Yeah.
Okay, so the total points was 844 for everybody.
Okay.
Okay, so this total 5,000 amps gets divided by the 844 to see how many amps each person gets per point. So if I take this 5,000 to 10,000.
One more 0.
Okay, that doubles the amount of amps, 10 times the number of amps per person, or whatever, doubles. Okay, so that the total of the amps awarded to everybody is going to be 10,000 now instead of 5,000.
So you're saying that this 10,000 or what was 5,000 of total represented the total of this column in a reverse. In other words,
Yes.
you're coming from the bottom of the column to the top of the column.
Right. We have a sponsor this month for 5,000 amps to the community.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to divide that up equitably among the participants in the community.
Based on their participation?
Based on their participation. Okay. Weighted according to what activity they're in.
Okay, so you're saying here that, and this is for what time frame? 1 month?
1 month.
So you're saying that no matter what the participation, 5,000 amps are going to be divided up by whoever participated.
Right.
And at the end of the month, there are going to be zero amps.
Yes, if everybody claims their bounty.
And in order to claim their bounty, they have to show that they actually did something.
Well, they're awarded here by managers. They come in here and they click on a thing. Okay, they hit comment, and they said I did such and such. Here is link.
Right.
Whatever. Okay, so the managers went through and they said, okay, this guy's effort was a 10, or this guy's effort was a 1.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the managers provide the accountability.
Right.
So who's the manager in these cases? How many managers are there? There's one for each of these items, Slacks, etc., docs, website, IT, outreach. Is there a separate manager for each one of those?
Well, the managers are actually consist of all these people. They have the consensus on the scoring.
Okay, so has that been functioning?
Yeah, I mean, mostly I put in values, and mostly people agree with them.
Okay, so you've really been the manager on this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's participatory. It's collaborative. Anybody can comment on anybody else's work in any area.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the question, this takes us back to delegating, sharing the load, etc. Oh, it looks like we lost Killian. He had another thing he had to go do?
Right.
Okay. All right. Well,
okay.
I mean, you've done a lot of work here. I mean, you've put a lot into this. Maybe from my viewpoint, there needs to be some explanation of, written somewhere, that makes it easier, at least for me, to understand exactly what everything means. Okay. And I would just make a suggestion that as far as the weighting is concerned, I mean, okay, first of all, if there's, if the weighting has to do with prioritizing the projects that are there, right? Or yes, I mean, this is a project of projects. I mean, Slack, etc. That's a project. Docs, that's a project.
And actually, the docs are in several areas. There's docs having to do with the co-op. There's docs having to do with the user community. There's a number of different areas where the documents of the community are.
And they have to be managed.
To a lot of projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's almost more somebody taking the initiative to create them and to edit them. It's like, yes, there has to be management, and this is what I'm trying to do, is develop some management. I mean, we don't have a Google Drive folder where all these things are put for our chain. Okay, and somebody has to take the initiative to do that.
Okay, but Jim, look, do you understand what I'm trying to do here?
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking that there could be a more collaborative way to do this, or a more complete way, but nobody is available to do all that work. We don't have the money to pay full-time people to come in here and oversee every little task that everybody does. It's not going to happen. It won't happen. People won't fill out timesheets. People won't even fill out timesheets.
I'm trying to make it all rational so that it's easy for people to take responsibility for tasks.
Right.
Okay. You started by saying that Patrick is feeling overwhelmed, right? Which is exactly what you were saying was happening to you about a month ago, right?
Yes.
And so the problem that needs to be addressed, as you say, is delegation. And the only way you can get...
Hi, John Wilson. Welcome. You're a little bit early.
Okay. Well, in any case, Jim, I'm just trying to pick it apart so that I understand it and then see it in a rational sort of way. Okay, and if you understand that my methodology is to ask questions so that I can understand the various parts. The one thing that I was getting at here is that across the top we have under G, H, I, J, K, L, and M, and then over here in Q these are all could be defined as general tasks, right?
Yeah, they're activities, right?
Okay, so and then down here under weights, that this is a system to prioritize, basically, right?
Well, it's really to make the rewards equitable.
Okay, well, yeah, well, okay, yes, and I was incorrect, actually. It's more that it's about prioritizing based on showing what reward you're going to get, right? I mean, if this were a 1 through 10 weighting, right? And this is why I think it really needs to be defined as a 1 through 10, probably. It could be a 1 through 5. I don't know. It depends on what sort of granularity is possible within the rating system, right? But my point, I think what you're saying here is that people will look at this and some people will say, I can do anything. Therefore I'm going for the highest rated task because I'll get the most amps, or Divvy, right? Okay, so I mean the thing is that the people who will tend to do the lower rated tasks would be people who don't have the skills to do the higher rated tasks, correct?
Could be. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So I mean, these are this again. Just to put a cap on it all, is that this is part of what Jeff and I want to do with the our proposal. Okay. And that's rationalizing it's essentially taking a spreadsheet like this and try to automate portions of it, right? To make everybody's job easier.
Yeah. So I just to try to once again tell you why these weights are open at this point is because the level of effort here that people put in is in the different activities is not equal. Okay, now for example, participation in the Slack and the other channels, people can almost do for free to some extent, except you have outstanding people who do more and they should get more. Now, the bring your own ID, okay, is one of the most essential parts of the responsibility of our chain. Okay, and that only got 24 points here for the month, whereas let's say the web, I don't know. So so we could say, well, the work on bringing your own identity is at least equivalent to the work on the docs. So we can crank this up to say 22 maybe. Okay, now we have 88. We have 66 for the bring your own ID and 189 for the docs. It's still not high enough, so let's go to 100. Now we've created 200. Okay, now we've created. No, I can't. Well, if I put the right number in here, we've come up with equity between the work on the docs and the work on bring your own ID. So it's very pragmatic. It's not a 1 to 10.
I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, you're changing this, and are you doing that just to show an example, or are you actually
We're constantly fine-tuning these things?
So, but I mean, how does that relate to people who? I mean, that means you can increase it or decrease it, which means that you're increasing or decreasing the amount of amps or Divvy or whatever tokens they're getting for their effort, right?
Right.
Okay. Isn't that arbitrary?
No, it's a consensus among the managers.
Okay, so what you're saying is it would the managers, however many they are, subject to some sort of a quorum, would then be the ones making the decisions.
If only one manager is doing it, then that's the only one who has a say in it.
Okay, if that's what everybody understands.
We have to choose better managers who are going to pay attention and manage.
Well, and everybody who is involved with putting in time and energy, they have to understand the rules, basically.
So we,
Yes, or the norms.
yeah, and
There can be such a thing here.
I might want to stick management in here as a column. But this, remember, the decision matrix is only one of the mechanisms, okay, that encourages community participation.
Okay.
It doesn't replace bounties for specific tasks. It doesn't replace bounties for roles that a person's performing.
Yeah, yeah. So Jim, I think you hit on a key term, okay? And that was encourages, okay? And participation, okay? And this is the bottom line of everything that I've been talking about probably for the last half hour, okay? Does it encourage or does it discourage? These are the questions, the fundamental questions that have to be asked.
Well, by giving them rewards that they haven't for what they've done, without having made a proposal, without having asked for a bounty in advance, without any require, all as they had to do was participate, and they got a bounty. They never even asked for it.
Okay, that's fine.
And I think this, they're going to say, "Hey, I got a bounty. I'm going to participate more."
Okay, so that's this is the attention mechanism. The attention reward mechanism at work is what you're trying to, you're trying to create a matrix here that encourages participation. Yes?
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's and again, I don't know whether this matrix is encouraging participation or discouraging participation. Okay? And that would all be based upon whether people get the bounties, right? And ultimately whether they're actually able to use them. Now, in the case of AMPS, there's definitely a demonstrated marketplace. With Divvy, it's embryonic, and that's the whole purpose of Killian and my proposal with regard to jump-starting a Divvy marketplace. Okay, and so what I've just been saying doesn't have a conclusion or a point per se, other than the whole purpose of my exercise here was to try to understand how it integrates with the things that we're doing on the Divvy side, because this clearly is significantly outside of the purview of Divvy. Okay, it's something more. You're on mute, Jim. You're on mute, Jim.
The Divvy marketplace and the Archer coin marketplace will be the identical thing. Okay, whether or not we set up a payoff matrix to the Divvy is something else. This is a tool that we can put in the Divvy toolbox that has received some very good feedback.
Okay, understood. Hey, Jim, I need to talk to my wife before she leaves. I see she's getting ready to go.
Did you meet John Wilson?
Well, I haven't, but I need to talk to my wife here. I'll be back. So, hang on.
I'm gonna,
Hey, Jim, I'm sorry I missed the first 30 minutes. I didn't know you were on.
well, we've been on a long time. And
Well, I missed her. John, Kendall Williams here. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Kendall. Same here.
Where are you located?
San Antonio, Texas.
San Angelo, Texas.
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Ah, okay. All right, very good.
I was born in San Angelo, though.
Really? Oh boy. Well, and you're involved with what effort are you involved with?
Well, I got in contact with Jim through, I accidentally ran onto Divvy as I was looking into scenario for a project.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a long story, but Jim's helped me along quite a bit. I'm not a technologist, so
Would you put yourself? Yeah. Well, I'm not a tech person either, but would you put yourself in the social science category?
I would say the socio-political.
Social political. Yeah. Right. So the ability to manage that part of the human project.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Oh.
yeah, he has roots also with the I system, Murray and Roxanne, and has been ever since promoting automated government solutions, and has a venture which is looking to sort of from the bottom up at the precinct level automate government.
Do we, Jim, do we want to stop recording on the community meeting?
Well, the last thing was the Divvy Google Calendar of the agenda, and I think we need to set one up. But
let's table that until the next meeting. I would say. Shall we do that?
Yeah, let's do that. And,
Okay, because we don't have a quorum here anyhow. So.
Okay. Bye-bye.